Hello, welcome back to the stream. It is Sunday, March 9th. My name is Angela, and on this channel we practice HTML, CSS, and vanilla JavaScript. Not opposed to using the occasional JavaScript library, but I prefer vanilla JavaScript because personally I need the practice, and that's the whole point of doing this. It's to practice. So we are continuing today with our ocean-themed static template, HTML, CSS, vanilla JavaScript. Let's take a look at the home page. We've spent, at this point, weeks working on the home page, and I hope after yesterday it's apparent why I do that. It's because when you build this initial page, you have an opportunity to define what I would argue is 50% of your website. The header and the footer for sure, which appear on every single page, but you have this opportunity to define all of not just styles, but what I would call modules, things that are easily reused on multiple inner pages. So that's why I did that. And yesterday was a great example of seeing that work, seeing that just come to life really, really quickly. I mean, yesterday I streamed for a little over 2 hours, but only about an hour of that was spent building this inner page, this masonry page, because so many of these styles are already defined. So I want to continue our work on this masonry page today. Let's take a look at the mock-up. Where is my mock-up? Take a look at the mock-up. This is our mock-up. And again, no indication of what we're supposed to do here. No real instructions on what the functionality is supposed to be. So I made the decision that this would be 50-50. So I guess essentially 50% on the left and then 25-25 on the right, but these are two containers that are 50-50, and then within the containers these are sized. I made the decision to make this what I would call a featured post or a featured a featured blog post basically, because there's nothing beneath it, and so I made that sticky. Now our masonry layout is flexbox columns. Masonry is not well supported with CSS, in my opinion. I've tried it a million different ways. In fact, I have a masonry series that I did late last summer, maybe early in the fall, where, sorry, there's a loud truck outside and my dog is fascinated. I did a masonry series last summer. I have a playlist where we just tried a lot of different ways to make masonry work, and I wasn't fully satisfied at the end of that because we ended up using a JavaScript library to implement masonry. And I remember at one point in that process sort of finding a solution that I liked. Honestly, I should go back and rewatch that video to remember what that was, because I don't even remember the details of the thing that I actually kind of liked. I do remember, though, finding out like, oh, actually, this is not well supported by CSS at all. So anything that we do is, in my opinion, a hack. And the way I define a hack is by how much maintenance it requires. So basically, how much technical debt does it add to your list of technical debt? Because there's always technical debt on every project. So how much technical debt does your masonry layout add to that list? That's a hack. That's what that is. That's what I think it is. And so the hack for this is that we use flexbox columns to achieve our layout, but that we have to have a fixed height on this container in order to force this to wrap to the second column. So what I would like to do today, once we tweak this desktop layout, what I would like to do today well, we're going to tweak the desktop layout. We're going to make sure that we have our responsive layout. And then if we have time, because I actually don't want to go much past an hour today, if we have time, we might go ahead and write some vanilla JavaScript to calculate the height of the container divided by 2 in order to get it to wrap to a second column. So if we don't get to that today, I might hop on sometime during the week and we can work on that separately. But yeah, let's just work on making sure that this is responsive on desktop and on mobile device. We'll implement a fixed height because we have fixed images and fixed blog posts here on the right. So I'm not too worried at this stage about calculating a dynamic height. I just really want to make sure that I'm sort of dialing in on the layout in general, but then I do want to write a little bit of JavaScript to calculate and maybe put in like an inline height, and that would make it a little more dynamic. So okay, so first of all, let's remind ourselves what the home page looks like. We do have, we have this content area below the hero, but we have this beautiful hero that takes up the full width of the screen. And yes, our mock-up, actually, our mock-up does go to the edge, doesn't it? I was thinking that this mock-up was a little more contained, but now that I'm looking at it again, it does go to the edge. I don't want this layout to be contained in this 1200 max width container. I want this to go all the way to the edge. Let's remind ourselves what the header is doing here. Because the header does not have like a wrap. The header really just has padding, 3 rems of padding on the left and right. So let's adjust this layout to match this kind of border on the edge on the left and right. Kind of, well, exactly like it does here in the mock-up, right? It does align on the left and right. So yeah, I didn't even really look at that until now. So here's our main wrap. I think what we should do here, because we've got, I think we should have a max width of 100% and then just go with 3 rems all the way around. And then we just have to adjust the height of our container so we don't break our masonry layout. I like that a lot better though. A lot. I already like it better, and it aligns then with what's happening in the header. So let's just calculate. So if we take this height out, the height of this container is 4,862. That's my calculator. Dividing it in half didn't actually work yesterday. I had to add a couple hundred pixels. So in theory, this should be 2,431, but I guarantee you that's not going to work. Because it's already 2,500 and it's wrapping to the second line. And the reason for that is because the halfway point is not exactly, the halfway point is not a guarantee that whatever is at the halfway point can automatically be wrapped. You might be smack dab in the middle of one of these articles, right? So clearly 2,500, not going to work. I think 3,000 will be fine. Oh, that's a lot. Let's see here. Let's try 2,750. That's better. Let's try to get it as close to the bottom as possible. I mean, maybe 2550 was all we needed. Nope. 20. Okay, so 2650. So yeah, we'll have to do a little bit of math, but that's pretty good. So let's change that value. Come on, where are you? Over there. And we know that we want the main wrap container the masonry main wrap to be a max width of 100%. I'm going to put that up at the top. And masonry, because I have a class on the body that says masonry, so I can target this page specifically. And I think we just said padding all the way around 3 rems. And I think that's going to have to be adjusted for, mobile. What do we got going on here? Favicon. That's fine. Oof. Okay, hang on. That's not quite right. Oh, I am not. Store Sasquatch. Okay, we're still having some issues here, so let's pop this out. See what I mean by technical debt? What a pain in the butt this is. Especially with a really flexible layout. We might just have to do something like even that's not working. I mean, that has no impact because it's meeting the minimum threshold. But then as the screen gets smaller, that's going to be a problem. And that's why a fixed width is probably a really good idea. Yeah. I mean, I think this looks really nice though. I really like it. I really like it. I have to think about this for a second. MDN CSS columns. CSS multi-column layout. The CSS multi-column layout module lets you divide content across multiple columns By using the properties in this module, you can define the preferred number and width of columns, the gap size between columns, and the visual appearance of the optional dividing lines known as column rules. You can also define how content should flow from column to column and how to break content between columns. Note, multiple column layout is closely related to paged media. Each column box is a fragment, much like each printed page is a fragment of a document. Using the properties defined in the CSS fragmentation module, you can control how content breaks between columns and pages. Properties: break after, break before, break inside. The column CSS shorthand property sets the number of columns to use when drawing an element's contents, as well as those columns' widths. This property is shorthand for the following CSS properties: the column count and the column width. Both column width and count. So the width comes first. The count comes second. Wait. Both column width and count. To auto or auto 12M. So you can do an auto. Why would you do an auto column count? What is the point of specifying columns if it's going to be auto? I'm not sure. I don't think I understand that. So I think the count comes first, the width comes second. The columns property may be specified as one or two of the values listed above in any order. Okay. So okay. So we can let's just comment a couple of things out here. I mean, I've got two things, right? I've got the featured on the left and the masonry items on the right. The featured can continue to be Flexbox, but maybe we should just make sure nothing is Flexbox. Okay. And you can see here now it's just this is the other. know why this is automatically. Probably because it's that's why it has a lot of absolute positioning. Okay, so we'll leave this here. I'm going to put this back in, but I'm going to take this out. There we go. I'm going to move this down here for now. Okay. So I think we actually do still need this to be Flexbox. I'm just going to take out these things because I do still need these two columns to be Flexbox. It's just this, where instead of yeah, and I think that there's the featured, here's the masonry container. I think I should just take this out. There we go. There we go. That's what I wanted. All right, we're getting someplace. We're getting someplace. So, let's see here. These two things are still Flexbox. So here's the main wrap container. And these two things are still Flexbox, but this I want to see if I can do a column count. If we can do this columns to, I don't know, we'll just do columns to auto. So is that on the actual item or the parent? The number of columns to use when drawing an item's contents. So that to me says the parent. So the masonry container, which is masonry container, yeah, just masonry container, columns to auto. Okay. So I guess everything I said was bullshit about not being well supported. So, okay, so now we just need to, yeah, these have, because we're using some CSS, let me get this out here. So these already have a width of 48% because they share styles from container blog item, or excuse me, container half width. So we just need to override that with masonry container half width. So let's add container. Have width. Width. Well, if 48% is that small, then 100%? 100% of what? The column? Oh yeah, that's why I didn't like this. I do remember trying this now. It's because it breaks the thing. It's all coming back to me. But we're gonna go with this because I think, yeah, look at this. It breaks the column. It creates the column. It doesn't break after the article. It breaks in the middle of the article. That's why I didn't like it. Okay, so 2 columns, 100%. 100% of its column. If we do like 95% of its column, how does that look? It looks pretty good. If we hover here, how does that look? I mean, it's not distributing it all the way over to, yeah, that's okay. Let's go with it. Let's see what happens. So what would that be for each column? Well, let's get this inside. I'll say width 95%. Oh, yeah, that can't go inside there. So this needs to go up here. There we go. So the date from down here doesn't even load until you scroll. Okay, let's see here. We need to be able to like set a break. Like, that's the thing. See, now it's coming back to me. That's the thing that's why this just really doesn't work. Let me see here. Column wrap. I mean, column. Okay, where's this column? Where's this column wrap? Width span. Column fill. Oh, okay. The column fill property controls how an element's contents are balanced when broken into columns. Column gap. column rule sets the width, style, and color of the line drawn between the columns. Column span makes it possible for an element to span across all columns when its value is set to all. An element spans more than one an element that spans more than one column is called a spanning element. Column span none. Okay. Column width. Break. The break after CSS property sets how page, column, or region breaks should behave after a generated box. If there's no generated box, the property is ignored. Break after auto, break after page. I don't see a difference. The effect of this property can be noticed when the document is being printed or a preview of a print is displayed. Okay. Well, break after column. If any of the three concerned values is a forced break value, always left, right, page, column, or region, it has precedence. If more than one of them are such a break, the one of the element that appears the latest in the flow is taken, i.e. the break before value has precedence over the break after value, which itself has precedence over the break inside value. My God, it's like stereo instructions. If any of the three concerned values is an avoid break value, avoid page, avoid region, or avoid column, no such break will be applied at that point. Once forced breaks have been applied, soft breaks may be added if needed, but not on element boundaries that resolve any corresponding avoid value. Auto always allows but does not force any break. Column break values avoids any column break right after the principal box. Column forces a column break right after the principal box. Breaking into neat columns. In the following example, we have a container that contains an H1 spanning all columns. Okay, achieved using column span all and a series of H2s and paragraphs laid out in multiple columns using column width 200 pixels. By default, the subheadings and paragraphs were laid out rather messily because the headings were not in a uniform place. However, we used break after column on the paragraph elements to force a column break after each one, meaning that you end up with an H2 neatly at the top of each column. Okay, so there's the H1, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. The H1 column span all. column width 200 pixels, gap 20 pixels, P, break after column. Result. So if we put on the article break after column, okay, we could try that. So that would be on the blog item, which is this. Did that actually work? No. That put it didn't even put everything. Yeah, it literally broke it after every column. I'm determined. I mean, this is their example. Oh, there it is. It is. Okay. I don't want to use ChatGPT for this because ChatGPT ran me in circles the last time. So I'm just going to do some good old-fashioned Googling. So CSS columns do not break content. How to prevent column break within an element? Question mark. Handling content breaks in multi-column layout, CSS. Content between column boxes in a multi-col layout breaks in the same way that it breaks between pages in paged media. In both contexts, you can control where and how content breaks by using properties of the CSS fragmentation module. I have to tell you right now, I'm going down this road because this is such a popular layout, and I personally would like to understand an easy way to do it with CSS. There has to be a way to do this with CSS. So I'm here for it. I'm going down this road. I'm going to figure this out. Okay, continuing. In both contexts, you can control where and how content breaks by using properties of the CSS fragmentation module. In this guide, we see how fragmentation works in a multi-column container, or multi-col container for short. Fragmentation basics. The CSS fragmentation module provides details on how content breaks between the fragmentation containers, or fragmentainers. The multi-column layout module, on the other hand, defines the break after, break before, and break inside properties that provide some control within and between columns. In multi-col layout, a column box is a fragment container. A column box can contain other markup, and there are many places where a break would not be ideal. For example, we would generally prefer that the caption of an image not be separated into a new column away from the image it refers to. Also, ending a column with a heading looks strange. The multi-col fragmentation properties give us ways to exercise some control over this. There are various places we might want to control our breaks. Breaks inside boxes, for example, inside a figure element. Breaks before and after boxes, which would include our heading example above. Breaks between lines. Breaks inside boxes. 1 second. Okay. To control breaks inside boxes, use the break inside property. This property takes values of auto, avoid, avoid page, avoid column, avoid region. In the example below, we have applied break inside to the figure element to prevent the caption from becoming separated from the image. Okay. Breaks before and after boxes. The break before and break after properties are used to control breaks before and after elements. They take the following values when in a multi-call context: auto avoid, avoid column, or column. In this next example, we are forcing a column break before an H2 element. Breaks between lines. The orphans and widows properties, part of the CSS fragmentation module, are also useful and worth mentioning. The orphans property controls the number of lines left on their own at the end of a fragment. The widows property controls the number left on their own at the start of a fragment. The orphans and widows properties take an integer as a value, which represents the number of lines to keep together at the end and start of a fragment, respectively. Note that these properties only work inside a block container, such as a paragraph. If the block has fewer lines in it, okay, I actually don't think that this matters, because I think break before, so I think we should try break inside avoid on the article. So here's our container. I think we should just try break inside avoid. Break inside avoid. Hot dog. You guys, we solved masonry. Okay, now the real trick. Let's see what this looks like as we resize. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Stop it right now. What? You guys, we solved masonry. This is amazing. Okay. Yeah. This was very, I did not understand this. Just reading break after, I did not understand what was happening here. But this little article is a gem. Handling content breaks in multi-column layout. Absolute gem. Let's bookmark this little baby. I'll go ahead and bookmark this too, just for the heck of it. This is it. We solved masonry. This makes me so happy. And this is also a good, so it's just making me think about how, you know, as amazing as ChatGPT is, to make sure that I'm still always reading the documentation, which I think I'm pretty good about. I'm pretty good about reading documentation, especially MDN, which is, let's see here, which is just the gold standard of documentation for sure. But ChatGPT, in the stream that we did several months ago that was just dedicated to building a masonry layout, what was I going to say? That it just ran me in circles. it just ran me in circles. That was kind of the first time that I had really used ChatGPT to solve a CSS question, which most of the time I don't need a ton of help with my CSS. That was the first time I really leaned into ChatGPT to help me with CSS, and I was not impressed at all with what it was giving me. Yeah, so this is incredible. So let's see here. I think that everything is still going from top to bottom. So our content still goes from top to bottom, which is fine. I'm fine with that. Let's get this back over here. The other thing I would like to see if we can do is at least center these items. Column width, auto, column count 2. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to take this out. It really simplifies things. Yep. So what do we do here? Margin 0 auto? No, I don't think so. Look at that. Good old margin 0 auto centers our items. Oh no, wait a second. Yep. So if this was width 100% and we did a gap of 1 rem, that doesn't even work. Oh, I think it has to be on the parent, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm confused about that. That's okay. I'm going to leave it the way it is. I'm happy with the way it is. But I'm going to put good old margin 0 auto. Somebody once tried to tell me that that was a hack. It was one of my classmates when I was in the GPS program at the University of St. Thomas. He said, that is a hack. You should not be doing that. I was like, the heck? I don't think that's correct. So actually, what if we did, instead of left, right, what if it was just margin left auto? That pushes everything over. There we go. Margin left auto pushes everything over. Look at that. Look at that. That is beautiful. That is freaking beautiful. So margin. Oh yeah, this is going to be a tutorial for sure. This is not a hack in any way, shape, or form. This is just really good problem solving, if I do say so myself. Wow. Look at that. So we have everything hugging up against the left and right edges. We've got this nice little, right here, we look at that. We've got this nice little 3 rem of padding all the way around our container. Can we still, oh, we're lost our sticky, so let's fix our sticky. Yep, let's go ahead and fix our sticky, which is probably not working because this parent container, so we need to make sure that this is we need to make sure it's a line items stretch. Yeah, there we go. We just need to make sure that's a line item stretch. Whoops. Where did I put that? On the main wrap. Line items. And then that guarantees that both, well, technically they're rows. Both rows have the same height. If this main wrap right here, if the main wrap is stretch, it says, hey, make sure that both rows, both items in the row have the same height based on the greater height. Whichever one is greater, make sure that they're both the same height. If this is flex start, which is our default value, if this is flex start, then this is only as big as its natural height, and then this is as big as its natural height. And this article is position sticky. But if the parent container scrolls out of the window, it's no longer sticky. So with Flex Start, we don't have that stickiness because it just scrolls right out of the window with its parent. But as long as this is stretch, the parent remains in the window and it continues to be sticky. So that's why that works. Wow, this is quite a day. This is quite a day. And we don't have to maintain a height now, which means we don't need to write JavaScript. Wow. Yeah, this is definitely going to be a tutorial. You guys, mic drop moment. So this is really cool. And it's the exact look that I wanted for mobile. It's the exact look that I wanted for mobile. Oh, we're going to adjust this a tiny little bit for mobile. But basically, this is what I wanted. I wanted there to be on mobile that we continue to see 2 columns. So we can cut down on some of this padding and yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. We could even say, since we're using the full screen, we could even, let's take this out again. We could even go with 3, because this is a 27-inch monitor. So we could even go with 3 columns and do some additional breakpoints. Why not? Why not? So here we are. Yeah, I mean, let's say that's 2,000. Let's do it. So here is our column count. So we'll say that our largest size is 3, and then we'll just do a couple of media queries. Media, max width. Let's do 1980, huh? Kind of that traditional HD size. Columns. Well, I guess we should be defining our width as, should we be putting it here? Let's try it. Is that going to override the width here? So if we just change that to auto. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Nope, that didn't work. So yeah, let's change this back to auto. We'll stick with what we got. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. That's exactly what I want. Look at that flexibility. Yeah, there's plenty of room here for 3 columns on a big screen. Wow. Wow, I'm going to be talking about this for a long time. Okay. So here is, let's move this down a little bit because we're going to need to just tweak this a tiny little bit. So then I think we want our width to just be 100%. I don't know. I don't think that's what I want. Yeah, that is what I want. And then it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't matter what the other value is. So glad I decided to just read the documentation instead of oh yeah, we don't actually want it to be 100% till it's down to 960. And I'm not going to adjust this margin left auto because if it's 100%, it will have no impact. The margin left doesn't do anything to something that's already 100%. So it doesn't really matter. And once we get down to here, then I think all we really need to do is adjust our padding. Yeah, honestly, I'm just going to bring it down to 0 at 960. What is it? So it's the main wrap by default. Oh, it's because I have this. That's okay. Okay, I'm just gonna take it. That's media. That's okay. We can write an extra media query for this one. So it's 1 rem 0 0. There we go. Yeah, we're gonna take that out. Just 0. Beautiful. I mean, I kind of want this to pop into mobile well before 960. Maybe 1260. Let's do 1024. Just a little more traditional. This is where the extra padding is coming from. There we go. So that means we also need to do this up here. 960 is usually my go-to. 1024 is also fine. There we go. Well, we're still a little off kilter. Yeah, because of this. There we go. I love it. And then let's adjust our text size. Because I'm going to keep this 2-column layout for mobile. So here's our H2. Let's just bring this down to, I mean, we could even just do like 1.1. Yeah, we'll bring that font size down to 1.1 on mobile. So we're right here. I'm going to move this down a little bit. Actually, I'm going to move this up. Make sure we get things in the right order so we're not fighting with specificity. So font size 1.1 rem. And this may be something that we want to do site-wide. We'll have to keep that in mind when we're doing inner pages. That might be a good thing to implement site-wide. Yeah, I'm so pleased with this. This is great. Could not be happier with with these results today. Boy. I mean, ChatGPT just ran me in crazy circles. Crazy circles. The last time I worked on anything masonry related. So the other thing I want to do here is, well, let's go ahead and push this to, let's go ahead and get this deployed. And then we can check this on mobile, and we should also check this in Firefox. So let's just take a breather and do a little testing, do a little QA. Styles for a working masonry layout. Git push origin main. All right. While that's deploying, let's take a look at Firefox. Beautiful. Beautiful. Look at that. I can't. I cannot. Oh, you know what we should do is I think we need a little bit of space after the article. Yeah, we can do that. We'll add a little space there. Look at that. I can't. Wow, this makes me so happy. It's this would make a great layout for a portfolio. In my opinion, this would make a great layout for a portfolio. If you wanted to feature here on the left, feature maybe your most recent work, your most recent project, and then these could be just a nice little grid here of additional projects, yeah, that would be amazing. So, okay, let's take a look at mobile. Come on, stop. Okay, I'm just gonna send it to myself. I don't think this is deployed yet. Yeah. Ooh, wouldn't that suck if it wasn't supported on iOS? Well, if this isn't supported on iOS, hang on one second here. Okay. Oops. If this isn't supported on iOS, then we just have to make it all one column, which is fine. So, but let's look at Safari. One second here. We could also be dealing with a caching issue here too. That could also be the case. But let me pull up Safari. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, sorry. So here we are in Safari. We need to tweak the spacing after the date, but that's completely fine. So let's just call this a caching issue. Yeah, let's just call this a caching issue. Let's close this. Do I have to send this to myself again? Yeah, this is caching. It's not updating the cache. These are like yesterday's styles. So, okay, that's fine. We're good on Safari. We're good on Safari, so I feel pretty confident about this working. as it should on iOS. So let's go ahead and fix that spacing after the date. And yeah, I think this looks great. This layout is totally supported. Totally supported. Wow. So happy with this. Let's see here. Okay. So really we just want to, I think we just want to add some, a little bit of margin. Just want to add a little bit of margin. I mean, where does the margin? Margin bottom, blog item, 3 rems. So we have a media query at 960 that removes margin from the bottom of a blog item. So for the masonry layout, I'm going to add it back in. Well, for half width, masonry container half width. So I think we can just add it. Because it still has it here. So I'm going to do it, we'll do another media query at 960. We'll do half width, margin bottom, 1 rem. No. Did I spell something wrong? 960 margin bottom, 1 rem. Oh. Did I spell something wrong? This should be working. Oh my God. I'm on the Heroku site. That's why. Okay. Ask me how many times that has happened. There we go. See, it's working. So now we just have a little baby bit of margin here. I might add 2. I think I'm going to add 2. Perfect. I love it. Yeah, there's a ton of margin here on the mock-up. Yeah, this looks great. So the other thing that I noticed here that I did not notice on the home page is that for the navigation, we added this little bit of shadow here underneath the header. My intention was that that would only happen on mobile when we have a sticky header. But of course, I don't think I wrote that as a mobile, as a media query. I must have just implemented that because I'm seeing it on anything that doesn't have a hero. So let's go ahead and I really want to fix that. I want that to only be on mobile because it's kind of bothering me. So let's go to our header. Yeah, box shadow here. So I want this box shadow to only appear on mobile. So here are our mobile only styles for the header. So I'm just going to put this in right here. And then we might still need to do a border though. Oh, no, we have our just the natural border. Good. That's perfect. That is what I wanted. There we go. Now we have that shadow for mobile and just the border for this navigation. My goodness. We're having quite a day here today. We are having quite a day here today. And so let's go back and like sort of review these styles that is making this masonry layout work, because it is so simple. It is so simple. Okay, so on the parent container, we define 3 columns and we say a width of auto for each column. And then on the individual items, I set the width. So I'm really not using the width in the column's shorthand property. I'm doing it on the item itself, and I think that's fine. I'm doing margin left because that shifts everything, that puts all the margin on the left and it shifts everything to the right. And that's kind of like, if you think about Flexbox and you think about justify content space between, it takes the first item and shifts it all the way to the left. It takes the last item in the row and shifts it all the way to the right. And then it evenly distributes everything. It's not exactly the same here, but we get the same effect when we do margin left auto. It shifts everything in the second column or the second item in the row to the right. So we got the effect that we wanted. Dead simple solution. And then we said on the half width class, which is the class for the article. So here's our article. One of the classes that we're using is called half width. You could also use the blog item class. I stuck with the half width class. But basically we said on the article, break inside a void, which is basically part of this handling content breaks in a multi-column layout. And this is part of the CSS fragmentation module. So glad I decided to not go down the ChatGPT route with this one and to just Google it and to look at this. This was amazing. They did such a nice job explaining CSS fragmentation and giving good, clear examples in this particular article. And MDN is just the gold standard of documentation, but sometimes, like the break, like just as an example, this break after, this did not make sense to me. Reading through this, I'm just like, what are you talking about? So the fact that they had this article to accompany it and to really explain the fragmentation, chef's kiss. So good. So I will for sure link this. I will for sure link this, and I will also put this in the README for this project. And that's it. And then we adjusted our columns. We bumped it down to 2 columns after 1980 because I'm on a 27-inch monitor. So I'm on a sort of this exceptionally large monitor. And, you know, a lot of people have big monitors, but not everybody does. So let's give the people with the big monitors and something nice to look at. That's how I see it. And then go from there. And then we just wrote a couple extra media queries to handle this font size, and Flexbox on the 2 main columns, the parent container for the 2 main columns really did the rest of the work. So yeah, this is great. So happy with this. And now we don't have the burden of managing a height of a container. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Yeah, this is really cool. So let's go ahead and push this one more time, and we'll take a peek at Firefox, and then I think we'll be done for the day. Final style edits to layout and header. Beautiful. I'm for sure going to be using this in a personal project now that I have this figured out. Yeah. Take a look at Firefox. Look at that. So nice. Let's check and see if we're having any luck here in Chrome. I'll send this to myself again. There we go. Oh, it's adding margin. It's adding margin to the top of that. Is it adding margin to the top of that column? Is that why that's doing that? Maybe we want to put padding on the inside, because the box model says that margin is outside of the box, right? So that could be true. So yeah, because there's no margin after this last date here. So it broke the item and added the margin to the top of the column. Well, you know what? I think we could add padding, which puts it in, you know, padding is on the box model is inside the container. So I'll go ahead and play with that. I will go ahead and play with that. Chrome, you're a stinker. You're a stinker, but I'm not going to worry about it because this, as far as I'm concerned, is success. This is success. This is a great weekend. So we got all of our links figured out. We got all of our hover states for our social icons figured out. We animated our links with our arrows. We have good hover active focus states for all of our links. We linked our titles with a transition. We have our older and newer. And we nailed this masonry layout. We absolutely nailed it. Yeah. It doesn't do it. It doesn't do it on desktop. That's so funny. That's fine. I will just add padding to the bottom. I'll just take out the margin and add padding. So, all right. Well, thank you if you joined me today. We didn't have much of a chat, but that is completely fine. We had a few people come in and out. We have a few likes. Thank you to everybody who liked. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. If you enjoy this type of content, if you just like to practice your HTML and CSS and just want to be better at building UIs, this is the place to do it. That's what we do here. I've been a front-end developer for 11 years, and I started this channel because I was like, you know what? I need practice. I don't get to do this often enough. That's why we're here. So hope you're having a great day wherever you are. I hope that you have a great week. I will be back next weekend, and we will continue to work on these inner pages. Talk to you later.